Now, as my channel has gotten larger, I have more and more people asking me questions that are a little more basic about system configuration. Specifically, how do I get my computer to look like that? How do I get the windows to pop up so that they automatically resize? Or other such, I guess, questions that are, I don't want to call them basic in a condescending way, but they're easy to answer. Now, in this video, I'm going to do two things. I want to talk, for those of you who don't know what a tiling window manager is, I want to talk about what that is, and why I use it, and why it's better. And for those who do know what that is, and have maybe been watching the channel for a longer time, I'm going to talk about the changes that I've made to my i3 config since the last time I put out a video on i3, which has probably been maybe a year and a half. It's been a while. It's been quite a while. I have added a bunch of little tweaks. All the basics are sort of the same, but we'll get into that. So anyway, this is i3. This is a tiling window manager. What a tiling window manager is a window manager that does just what we said just a second ago. When you spawn a window, it automatically resizes everything so that you can see every window at the same time. Now I can move windows around, I can go from window to window and do different stuff, all this kind of stuff. Now, of course, it isn't just with terminals. I can bring up, let's say, a web browser. I can put it over here. Maybe I'll go to my GitHub. Maybe it's too crowded on this workspace. We're on workspace 1 right now. I can send this to workspace 2, do something there. I can go to workspace 3 and make some windows, etc., etc. The general way a tiling window manager works, they're all a little different, but the general way they work is on each of your workspaces, you have you can put windows pretty much where you want. They automatically configure so that they all tile together. They are all visible at all given points in time, and you can go to different workspaces to do different things. You know, you can again have your web browser in one workspace and do something else on another or something like that. So that's generally how tiling window managers work. The one that I use is called i3, which I suppose I should say has nothing to do with the processor, the i3 processor, people ask, so I should say that. Now, i3 is probably the most commonly used tiling window manager on Linux, and well, probably any operating system, because people using tiling window managers are pretty much all using Linux or BSD or something. But I'll go ahead and talk about how mine works, and how I guess get what I need out of it. Oops, I got rid of my face there. Let me bring it back. But anyway, so to spawn windows, I'm going to turn on screen key so you know what keys I'm pressing. And I will say all of the key presses to modify my that are shortcuts in i3 are going to use the super key or the Windows key. I might call it super, I might call it Windows, I might call it mod, but I'm just going to ignore it. So if I say if I press enter, it creates a window, I really mean if I press super enter. So just be aware, all the i3 shortcuts are going to have super with them. But anyway, so enter spawns a workspace. I can press T, super T, to change the window, to change the direction in which windows are being spawned. So if I go here and I press super, it's going to spawn to the right. If I press T and then super, it's going to spawn downwards until I press T again. Okay, that's generally how it works on i3. Now, other tiling window managers, they work a little bit different. I think on Awesome, for example, you just create window, you tell it how you want windows to be configured on a particular workspace or something like that. So there are different tiling window managers work a little differently. But to move from window to window that you've spawned, you can use Vim keys. By default, they're not actually Vim keys. They're like J through semicolon, which I think is totally ridiculous. But I have remapped them to Vim keys. So J to go down, K to go up. You'll see that I'm moving up and down. L goes right, and H goes left. So just typical Vim keys here. And let's say I have this window here, and I want to move it. I can just hold down Shift and super and press those same keys, and it will move to different parts of the environment, the workspace. So that's how you move stuff around. Now, some people have bindings to they like set their mouse so that you can click and drag. I don't use that just because it's so rare that I need to use. I mean, part of the idea behind tiling window managers is you only really need to use your fingers on your keyboard, and that's it. You don't really have to go over to the mouse to do stuff. So usually when I use my mouse, it is in a video when I'm specifically pointing at something. When I'm actually working on something, I very rarely use the mouse. I'll just say that. So anyway, to get rid of windows, I can just press Q, Super Q, and that will get rid of some of these windows. So again, spawning them, T for toggling which direction, Q for getting rid of them. I'll also say one thing you can do by default. This is an aspect of my own configuration. If you want to resize windows, you just press capital Y, U, I, or O. That's going to be mod, super, super and then shift and Y, U, I, O. And that will resize how your window is in comparison with other ones. This is very useful just to get the exact kind of dimensions you need. By default, i3 has this other silly way, I think it's silly, of resizing, where you press a resize shortcut, then resize, then undo the resize mode. I think that's just too much, so I just bound them, again, to capital Y, U, I, O. We'll do that. So other basics, I have a whole bunch of programs that are mapped by default to different bindings. So M will bring up my music player, R will bring up Arranger for managing files, or I will bring up HTOP or something like that. Now, of course, I can run any of these commands manually in one of the terminals, but I like having bindings to bring up a terminal with them, just without me having to type in the name or something like that. D is D menu, so mod D, and that allows me to type in some specific command, say Firefox, and bring up Firefox. But I also have Firefox bound to W, so if I press Super W, it will pop up. So nice and simple. And this is pretty much the basics of it. You can, of course, notice there are gaps in between windows. I can change those with S or capital S. So S increases the gaps, capital S will decrease them. Oops, sorry, missed it. Or Z and capital Z will change the outer gaps. So you can, if you like the aesthetics of something like this for one particular window or workspace, you might like it. You can also get rid of gaps altogether with capital D or capital T to get them back to normal. Now, all these bindings, I should say, are specific to my configuration, my dot files. If you want to get my dot files, I should probably say, because if I say it at the end, no one, people don't often watch to the end of YouTube videos. That's one thing you learn. You can go to larbs.xyz. Some of you guys already know this, but I have a nice little script that will install my dot files on any installation of an Arch-based Linux distribution. You just download the script and run it. And if you want to see what's actually in the script, so you're not running some scary thing that someone on YouTube gave you, you can go to my GitHub. Larbs is the script, and voidrice is the repository that has all the dot files that it installs. So you can browse through that if you want to just see what kind of stuff that I have by default. But anyway, and I will say, if you're using that at any point in time, you can press super and then F1, and that will bring up a nice little guide that actually lists out all the bindings, including all the ones that I'm not going to talk about in this video. But so anyway, I've talked about basically how you move around and stuff like that. So that hopefully, if you're a new user, you sort of understand how a tiling window manager works. All of them work a little differently. I have my own bindings that do their own things. But I want to talk about some of the stuff that I've added since the last time I did a video on i3, again, which has been like over a year now. So one of the bigger changes I've made is that I've added in, let me get rid of all these, I've added in a bunch of different D-menu scripts. So D-menu, if you don't know, I've done a bajillion videos on it by now because it's just the most useful program in the universe. You can auto-create any kind of menu from standard input and make it do whatever you want, long story short. Let me show you some of the implementations I have of D-menu. And I've done videos on some of these individually, but for example, if I want to mount a drive, I can press Super and F9, and that will automatically detect all of the unmounted partitions that I have and give them a display up here. So for example, this partition here, this drive is 1.8 terabytes. I can mount that if I want. I'll press enter, and that will mount it. If it's detected in my FS tab, if it's detected in my system settings where I want to mount it, it won't ask where to mount it, it'll just mount it. So now that is, you can see that now this is mounted in the location it's supposed to be. And I can unmount drives with mod plus F10, super plus F10. And that'll list out all the unmountable drives, and I can unmount that. So that's originally I had some silly little script that read all the drives, and then you had to separately store where you want them to be mounted, and that was so stupid. That was just like one day I lazily wrote the script when I didn't know that like fstab existed, because I was like just new to Linux. But so this is much more efficient. I can map pretty much anything, or mount pretty much anything, and it also works on Android devices now. So you can plug up an Android device, and it requires simple MTF, whatever it is. I don't know. You can look at my dot files for the requirements, but it'll mount Android devices as well. So that's very convenient. Additionally, I can't show you this in action, but I'll show you that this exists. If I press Super and F3, this will be a screen selector. So I'm on a VGA TV right now, and I have my laptop right here, and I'm recording off this VGA TV. But if I press Mod F3, I can switch if I want to switch back to the laptop. This D-menu prompt automatically detects what kind of things you have connected to your computer and will give you them as an option. Or you can also press in multi-monitor and manually say, oh, I want VGA to be my primary display, and I want the laptop to be on its left side. And I'm going to press no to that. Or I should also say you also have the manual selection option, which allows you to use a render, and you can just manually set it up however you want. But so this script has been one additional thing that I've added. Again, another great D-menu script. It was super easy to write, super easy to use. You can check it out on my dot files in my on my Void repository, somewhere in the scripts folder. Now, so other things, some people, I did a video on this just like a couple weeks ago, but then I used it in a video right afterwards, and everyone asked about it, so I should mention it one more time. I have an emoji inserter now, and this again is a D-menu prompt. If I press, super, press the gra plus the grav accent, it will bring this up, so I can type in, let's say I want an emoji of a potato. Okay, great. So now I have this, and it copies it to the clipboard. It also copies the Unicode sequence to your primary selection, in case you need that. And I can insert, the potato, paste it in, and there's our potato. Or let's say, I don't know, watermelon. Put in some watermelons. Great, fantastic. So that's a nice little, again, another little D-menu prompt. I find it very useful for inserting stuff like that. And I also, let's see, any other I think I wrote down some D-menu stuff to talk about. Oh yeah, one other one that I can't show you because I'm actually using it right now is the screen recorder. So if you press Super and then print screen, that will give you a little prompt that says, do you want to do a screencast, do you want to record audio, do you want to record video, etc. And depending on what you select, it will start an FFmpeg script that you can cancel by pressing Mod plus Delete. So that's pretty convenient as well. And you'll see this icon up in the status bar that shows you what you're doing. So this is like screencasting, basically. Now I should say that while I'm on the topic of the status bar, I've been adding stuff to this every once in a while. I make some changes. I did a video on my status bar you can check out. But since other people are using my dot files, if you right-click on any of these, it'll give little information about it. So my music module, torrents module, that's the difference, what the symbols mean, my seeding torrents, downloading torrents, weather module, daily low, daily high. So if you right-click on these, it'll give you some info about it. But obviously that isn't for me, that's for the people who use the dot files. But that's just a little addition that you might find useful. I'm trying to think what else. So just some little tiny perks. Let's say I copy my, I don't know why I copy everything twice, but if I copy this URL, let's say I'm off doing some work over here and I forgot, what do I have in my clipboard or whatever? I can just type in super and then insert, and it lists out what's in my primary selection and what's in my clipboard. Nice and easy. Additionally, when I did my video, I guess a month or so ago on QR codes, someone in the comments had a really smart idea, I guess. She mentioned that she had a script that takes what's in your clipboard and makes a QR code out of it. So let's say I have like this URL as my, in my clipboard. If I've mapped this script to, I think, super and pause. And what it does is it automatically generates a QR code for whatever is in my clipboard. So then I can take this and I can, scan it with my barcode reader on my phone, and that'll automatically pop. The text will automatically transfer to my phone. So I found that very convenient. I forget what her name was, but one of you guys out there. Let's see. Now, is there anything else? I think I've gone over some of the little additions. Honestly, there are just so many things that I've made more efficient. Like, I look at the stuff that I was putting out a year or so ago, and I was like, oh man, a lot of that is just so primitive. I've made a whole lot of stuff more efficient. Additionally, I think I mentioned this before, but not in this video, of course. If you press Super A, that'll give you a drop-down calculator. It'll follow you to whatever screen you want. I often find that it's nice to be able to, have some kind of calculator for you to just sort of play around and do some math in, and then hide it by pressing Super A again. Same thing with the drop-down terminal with Super U. This is just the Tmux window. And I've had these for a while, but they're now... I'm not going to explain to you how, but they're way more efficient in the way that they're called. But they automatically in i3 you can set special settings for them and stuff like that. I think this is about it. I'm probably going to cut it off right about now. If you have any questions, again, you can check out. I'm going to put a link to not just my doc files repo, but also this particular PDF that goes through all the stuff that you can, all the different bindings in the system or whatever. But again, if you're using my system, if you've already downloaded my dot files, you should be able to press Super and F1 to bring this little guide up. Anyway, so that's about it, and I'll see you guys next time, I guess, because I guess there's so much more to talk about, but I might as well leave it to another video or talk about things specifically, because I've just added so much stuff here. But that's about it, so yeah, see ya.
Okay, this is going to be a video on my i3 configuration and the changes I've put it through, since last time I did one of these. I figured I might as well do one of these just because, one, it's been enough time that, I've put on thousands of subscribers since last time, and on the other hand, I have been making lots of changes, but I've about gotten to the point where, I don't know, I'm making fewer changes as time progresses, so I think I'm finally converging on what kind of setup I actually want to have. Of course, the changes have been coming at a more gradual pace for months now, but now I'm pretty happy. I don't make many changes on a daily basis. So anyway, for those of you who are new to the channel, right, so the Windows Manager desktop environment that I use is i3 GApps. So it's a tiling window manager, so you make a bunch of windows and they all fit together. So I find that very convenient. I wouldn't use anything else. And i3 is one of, besides, let's say, Awesome Window Manager, i3 is probably the most popular of tiling window managers. I think it's the most popular, but it's probably pretty close with Awesome. So anyway, in this video I'm going to show you what kind of keyboard shortcuts I have, or at least give you an idea what kind of setup, how do I actually use this thing. So before I get to that, I should say, well, this is relevant, but I do have a GitHub now, and it's going to have all these config files on it, so you can check them out. If you go to my GitHub, which is just Luke Smith XYZ, and you go to the Void Rice repository, it says it's for Void Linux, but it should work on most Linux distributions. There are only a couple things you actually have to change. But if you go to the config folder, if you want my i3 stuff, you're going to want the i3 folder, the polybar folder, and the scripts folder. I think that's what you need. And they all go in just .config. So yeah. So just download those and you can check them out. So you'll also notice that I do have documentation there. Last time I put up my configs, I had a little guide, and you can get to that if you have my configs running. You can just press mod and F1, and it'll bring up this little document where I just sort of detail, it's sort of for a total beginner, how this thing works, stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily going to go over that, I'm just going to go over my actual i3 config, because that's where the magic happens. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. So I start with some basic definitions. I set things like the gap size. So I have a gap size of, actually I'm going to turn on screen key. Yeah, so I have a gap size of 15 pixels. So whenever I spawn windows, there's going to be 15 pixel difference, around them and, in the middle. And of course I can change that with mod S, I can increase it, mod super S, or excuse me, mod S and mod shift S. Mod shift S decreases it, mod S increases it. You can do the same thing with outer gaps with Z, so that's pretty simple. So if I need full screen, or I don't want any gaps, mod shift D, mod shift T to get back. So pretty simple. URXVT is my terminal now. Last time I put these videos up, I think I was using Termite. Last time I put these videos up, I think I was using Termite.